Hey there, YouTube world. My name is Matt Schwartz, and I'm the Welding Geek. And on this episode of the Welding Geek, I'm going to build the most iconic helmet in fandom, in my opinion, and that is Boba Fett's helmet. Now, this is the one from The Mandalorian Season 2. So if you want to see me put together this thing, stay tuned to the video. Alright, we are going to start off here by a template that I made off of the Black Series dome by using a bunch of masking tape, and then after you peel that off, you put a couple slits in it so you can lay it down flat. And I did it out on some poster board here, but I'm actually going to go ahead and cut these little slits out of the aluminum here, like this, and then I'm going to take it over to this tool I don't think I've shown before, but it's a hydraulic press with a bottom die that's in a dish and the top die that's a dome, and I'm going to use it as like this huge planishing hammer, but you guys will see that here in a second. But right now I'm going to go ahead and get all my pieces here sheared out, cut on the bandsaw and deburred, and then we'll make our way over to the hydraulic press. So here is the big hydraulic press, and as you can see here, I am just using it as basically a big planishing hammer. I'm just trying to smush these halves together so the little notches in there kind of come together. That's the goal. I'm just giving these a general round shape with this, and it works pretty well. Now I'm going to start one of many visits to the planishing hammer for this build. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of try to smooth these out the best I can. I'm not getting it too particular yet, just trying to get these little notches to form in a little closer so I can get them tacked. Now that I've got them close enough to tack, I'm going to go ahead and try to fuse tack these here. But I actually end up tacking them with a little bit of rod. I'm going to also move over on the table here to a dolly, just trying to get these two seams to meet up correctly. And then I'm going to go ahead and weld them together. Now that I got them welded, it's back over to the planishing hammer a little bit. I'm going to do some more planishing. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my way back over to the tool bench to start trimming and straightening up the edges so I can meet these two halves of the dome together. How I'm going to get my nice straight line is this is a center punch tool that fits in like a 1/2 inch hole, I believe, and I'm just using it as my little shim up basically, because then it'll be like a 1/4 inch if I use a 1/2 inch thing. Scribe a line across it, trim it out with my little hand shears here, and then once I got it kind of where I want it straight enough, then I'm really going to straighten it out with this DA sander here. Now that the edges are nice and straight, I'm going to go ahead and get those tacked up. I'm going to take them over to a dolly to try to kind of flatten out the weld seam a little bit. And then I'm going to weld the two halves together. Now that I have the two halves fully welded together, it's time to get to work on this planishing hammer. Now this takes quite a bit of time, a lot of different radiuses of the planishing tool. You're going to see me here going back and forth, grabbing different tools and do a lot of planishing, and I'm just trying to get this thing to look as close to that dome as possible, because that's really a characteristic of the helmet. It's not just this round dome, it's kind of it's a very complex curve, complex shape, so I'm going to do my best to try to mirror that. As you can see here, it's really starting to take that shape. I was really happy with how this dome came out. Now that I kind of have it planished close, I'm going to go ahead and dress off the welds here. I'm going to do that by using the DA sander here with a couple different grits of sandpaper, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab a foam block with a piece of DA paper on it just to smooth everything out. As you can see here, it really smooths everything out, kind of blends everything in, and then I'll take it over to the sandblaster, and just like that, it looks all nice and smooth and like one piece. That sandblaster really makes it look nice. Now you can see some little, it's not perfectly smooth, which is okay because honestly this helmet is going to have a lot of texture to it, so a lot of this kind of ugliness will be hidden, so I'm okay with it. And now it's time to get the final trim on the bottom here to get it nice and level. So that's what I'm going to do here. And you can see over to the side there, that's the dome that I've been trying to copy. I'm also going to be laying out the little triangles in the top here. And I'm just using a pair of calipers and measuring off of this dome and kind of transferring it over to the dome that I just made. See here, and that's what I'm going for. The next thing I'm going to try to do here before I get these little triangles cut out is I'm going to put the dent in the helmet. Now I did my best to eyeball this. I'm not sure if it's in the exact perfect location, but I'm happy with it. And how I'm going to do this is, you can see here I have a tube on the table, and I'm more or less just trying to get a nice tidy dent in there like Boba Fett's dent, because frankly, that is the tidiest, cleanest dent I've ever seen in any metal ever. Dents don't usually do that. They usually deform the whole thing. They just don't ding and like have a nice sharp edge all the way around it. So anyway, I'm attempting that, and I'm pretty happy with how this comes out. It's not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with my final product. Now it's time to put the little triangles in, and this is a very tedious process. There you go. I'm just using a hole punch here. I'm going to use my little die grinder here at points, and I'm going to get little files and try to file these little tiny triangles. Just doing that little tiny detail was very difficult, and so that's what I'm attempting to do right here. Now that the dome is pretty much done, it's time to get the rest of these parts cut out here. I got my little handy dandy templates and my spray glue. I'm just attaching it to the aluminum that I'm going to be using here. And I'm going to head over to the shear and start shearing stuff out, get my holes punched, get everything bandsaw, and get everything cut out and deburred like normal. I try to get a little different view of the shear this time, so enjoy the top of my nice bald shiny head here. But yeah, I was just trying to give you guys a different look of what it looks like straight down through this shear. It's okay, but yeah, we'll get all this stuff cut out, trimmed out, and we will start forming some metal. As you can see here, there's a bunch of random holes and stuff in there, and you will see what these are for here in a bit. I'm actually going to Cleco this front half to the back half, and those big half-inch holes are actually weld joints, rosette welds that I'm going to do on the inside. barely see it here, but there's a yellow line here, and this is the T-visor. I'm going to go ahead and take my cutoff wheel and make sure I scribe this T-visor line in there before I start forming this. Otherwise, I'm going to lose that line if I peel the plastic off or do anything like that. So I went ahead and used my cutoff wheel and just kind of basically drew that in with the cutoff wheel, as you can see there on the table. And now I'm going to go ahead and deburr everything. Alright, we are over at the slip roll. I'm just going to roll the curves in these, and both the front and the back here, trying to make it look as close to this Black Series helmet as possible. But yeah, so I'm going to do this at the back, and then we'll do the front, and then we'll make our way over to put a couple little features in these parts. First feature we're going to do is I'm going to put a bend line across right here to make sure this is about where the ear caps are going to set in. So I want these to be nice and flat, not round, so I'm flattening them out and kind of straighten them out so they line up with the front face. And then the other detail I'm going to do to this back part is put the little back step across the back here. So when I put the faceplate on here, it will kind of blend in with the faceplate, and it'll have that raised edge along the back of Boba Fett's helmet. Now comes the hard part. I'm going to go ahead and try to form these cheeks and get them tacked into place in the face mask here. This was a big pain in the butt, a lot of forming. I'm just trying to copy it on this Black Series 1 here to get me started at least. It's not going to be the final deal, but I'll go ahead and kind of get it all fuse tacked in first. I'm going to weld in this upper cheek first, and then I'm going to put in the lower part of the lower cheek there. Man, these cheeks are a lot of work, but once I get this here tacked into place, I'm going to weld it, and I'm going to go ahead and try to get this lower cheek in the position. These cheek things are always very hard to do. It's not an easy process. Everything's got to line up just right so your cheeks don't look all wonky, but that's where good templates come into place, so these actually work out pretty well. Alright, I got one cheek into place. I'm going to go ahead and get the other one in off camera here. And then we will come back, and I'm actually going to do a fuse weld with a little bit of rod, because sometimes a fuse weld will kind of pucker out a little bit. But I'm trying to fuse across this cheek because I don't want a whole lot to grind out of it. So I want as least fill material in there as possible, so when I come in with the angle head, I can just smooth that weld in, and it'll make it look nice. Alright, up next here we got a whole lot of welding. I'm going to go ahead and 100% these cheeks into place. And then I'm going to attach the back of the helmet to the front of the helmet. And I've designed these pretty nice where I have a couple of cleco holes. So I'll be able just to cleco the front half of the helmet to the back half of the helmet. And then I'm just going to rosette weld those in those little 1/2-inch holes you can see there on the back half. And then I'm going to weld around all the inside parts of the helmet. So you'll see what I mean here. I'm going to go ahead and get everything all welded together. Now that I got everything all welded together, and now it's time to try to attempt to get the dome into place. This is a pretty difficult thing to do. My helmet was actually a little wider than the dome that I made, so I went ahead and put a couple slots in here so I could draw the helmet over around the dome here. But I've got my little line on here, and I'm just going to clamp from the front around to the back, both sides, and tack it internally. So that's what I'm going to try to attempt to do right now. This is always the point in the build where I'm like, oh man, I can actually see what's going on. And everything's looking great. This made me really happy. Now I'm going to 100% this thing on now that I'm happy with how it looks. And yeah. Now that everything's all welded up, it's time to dress the welds on the outside here. I'm going to get the cheeks all blended in and making it look like one big solid nice happy helmet. Alright, we are not looking too bad. This is not all the way finished. But while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and I need to open up this back section a little bit because I drew it in a little bit. And I have my back vent already drawn, so I need to get back out to the dimensions that it originally was. So I'm just going to use a couple of my tools here, grind it out, straighten it out. The tape represents where I needed to get it to. And now that I have that out, it's time to use my little foam pad with the DA and get everything all smoothed in by hand. The next thing I'm going to do here is tie my little mandibles, I guess they call them, together. You can see I slotted up the T-visor slightly, but I need something the bottom of the mandibles to hold them together so they don't get all wonky when you start using the helmet. And I also use this to hold in my T-visor when I get it cut out. As you can see here, you just slide the T-visor in between there and it holds it into place, and it holds the mandibles into place. But now I'm actually going to cut out the T-visor now that I've got my little tie bar in there. Got my rough cut done. Now I need to go back in there with the angle head and clean everything up. Got everything all sandblasted and smoothed out, and this is gonna take a little break here and look at my progress so far. Man, this helmet came out so nice. I'm really happy with the progress so far. It is time to start on the ear caps. I already got all this stuff cut out and got my templates pasted and all that. You can see I got my PEM studs press fit in my parts since we already saw all that. This is gonna be the bottom of the ear cap. And then I have my little top part here, and I'm just going to show you guys how I went about forming these pieces, getting them welded together, dressed down, and just kind of how I went about making this ear cap here. Alright, I got my ear cap down. First one down. The next thing I'm going to do here is the back vent. And then we'll attempt the really hard ear cap. Alright, I admittedly cheated a little bit here and had my buddy water jet out the little back section here because I really did not want to spend the time to file this little thing out. I made this by hand, but that other piece, I've made those before. Actually, the first helmet I ever made was a Boba Fett helmet, and it was a nightmare trying to get all those notches out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this really big piece of tube, and I'm going to radius out this little part of the back vent until it fits inside my little bezel here. So that's what I'm doing here, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this all welded together, and we'll get this back vent knocked out. as you can see here, I just filled in the little big cracks with some weld. I'm gonna go ahead and use a angle head and dress this all down and smooth it all out. And then I bend the top and the bottom edges. I actually ground and radius those so they fit nicely in the back of the helmet. I think I missed that part with the camera. I think the camera died. Right here, as you can see, I've got these angles bent on it, and I just ground that to fit the back of the helmet nice. And then you can see here how it fit later. I missed that little clip there, but it came out awesome. I just welded it in, tacked it on the inside there with a couple half-inch tacks, I think, and it came out looking really, really nice. I'm really happy with how the vent came out. Alright, it is time for the other ear cap. This one was a big pain in the butt. I'm just going to let this play here. This is the top section of the bottom section. I'm just showing you how I went ahead and got the holes drilled in there and how I formed this piece. It was really tough. But I kind of made this similar to the other ear cap. I've got all the other pieces cut out. And there's a backer plate with PEM studs, and I'm going to get it all welded together, get all my pieces fabricated individually, weld them together, dress them down, and yeah, you'll see here. Hopefully this all makes sense. Just like that, we've got the bottom ear cap pretty much done. Get it bolted on here. Time for the top section. Pretty much the same process. Got all my little pieces and parts and templates all drawn up. I got them all cut out already. I'm gonna get these two pieces welded together. And then we're going to get the stem cut out. We'll get the top section cut out. And that will be layered on top of all that like a sandwich. And then I'll get the little bevels ground in on the belt sander. And then, yeah, you'll see what I do for the rangefinder top part. lot of stinking work in this thing, huh? I don't even know how to narrate this. It's just moving so quickly, but I hope it all makes sense. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of file this last part, trying to make it, just clean it up a little bit, and then I will show you how I'm gonna go make the top of the rangefinder. What I'm going to show you here is how I put the little mic port in the front cheek. I'm going to get that done here real quick. Alright, so yeah, I was so cheated on the top part of the rangefinder. I was running out of time. Literally, this is the last day I was going to be able to work on the helmet because I needed to get it painted before PopCon. So yeah, I cheated. Oh no, I stole it off the Black Series helmet. I actually, this worked out pretty well. I might actually go back in here at a later time and finish the top of this to make it all out of metal. But I just cut off that end, kind of gutted it out, and then I ended up gluing it on, and it looks really good. But yeah, I was just running out of time before PopCon with this build, but that was a very complex part, and yeah. Anyway, so this is how I went ahead and got the top part of the rangefinder done. And it looks pretty stinking good, if you ask me. Oh, pretty rad. And that is pretty much it for this helmet build. Here's some close-ups for you. The helmet is already painted while I'm narrating this, so you'll actually get to see the painted version, and there will I'll give you all the details here in the outro. Alright, that is the helmet video. What do you guys think? The paint video will be a separate video, but here it is, all finished. You can see it all in its glory. Head pads, visor, painted up, ready to rock and roll in all its epicness. That was a fun build. It's a long build, a lot of work, a lot of planishing in this dome. That was probably like half the build right here, just the dome. So I'm super happy with how this came out. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed watching my progress going through there. What's coming up next will be the paint helmet video, or the helmet paint video. Yeah, that video where I actually paint the helmet. So you can be looking forward to that next. What else am I going to be doing? I'll have some more PopCon videos coming up. Like I said, I'm kind of leaning towards building Echo. I'm not quite sure yet what I'm doing with that, and there's a couple other things I'm thinking about doing now that I'm kind of wrapping up on Boba Fett. Actually, I'm going to be doing his gauntlets here, and that's a ways out. It's going to take me a lot to get them drawn, and then to get them filmed building, and then I'm potentially going to be doing the jetpack. But just doesn't look right without a jetpack. So I think I'm going to attempt the jetpack here in the near future. Anyway, yeah. I would say, if you don't, like I said in the beginning, I feel like this is the most iconic helmet in all fandom. If you disagree with me, let me know what you think is the best one down in the comments below. We'll get this video spooled up and get dropping for more people and more views. And That's one way of doing it, is commenting. So if you disagree with me, we can kindly disagree, but I want to know what your guys' favorite, most iconic helmet is, and drop that down in the comments below. What else we got going on here? Don't forget about my Patreon page. If you want to support my channel directly, you can head over there, and in the $5 tier you get access to all of my templates for Boba Fett's helmet, for his armor. I've got Din Djarin's helmet, I've got his armor, all that stuff. All my templates of all my builds in the past are on my Patreon channel. So if you want access to those templates, or if you just want to support me and keep me going, building all this stuff, head on over there. There's 2 different tiers, $5 tier, $10 tier. One's for templates. You get the templates in the $10 tier though. And then if I build something that I don't want, I'll be giving that away to that $10 tier. Yeah. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. What a great build. I hope to continue on going here. Thanks for all those out there that are supporting me on Patreon and through your subscriptions and your comments and your likes. Keep it up. Let's get this channel growing, and y'all be able to build some bigger, cooler stuff if we do. My name is Matt Schwartz. I'm the Welding Geek. Thanks for watching, guys.